Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Director General, L'Equipe Group, Francois Mournier, along with Secretary General, Qatar 2022 Supreme Committee, Hassan Al-Thawadi.
Good evening, Hassan.
Good evening, Francois.
My first question will be for you. Why do you believe it's time now for the Middle East to host a World Cup?
Wow. I see we have 15 minutes. Let's hope I can make it within 15 minutes.
It doesn't count down, so we may have more.
So we have more than 15 minutes. Thank you very much for that. Okay, to start off with, every major tournament, in my belief, always leaves a legacy, leaves a lasting legacy. It's always an opportunity. The Middle East, throughout especially the modern age and the modern history, has developed and evolved quite significantly. But there's also been elements of, if you will, misperception about the Middle East in general. Now, I think one of the elements that a World Cup offers is shining the spotlight on a region. And if, shining the spotlight correctly, it allows for people from the outside world to look and understand who the people in the Middle East are. We're a population that has a great sense of humor. We're people that are friendly. We're known for our hospitality. So it's an opportunity to actually bridge that gap that the outside world might have on a stereotype for the Middle East. But it's also an opportunity for the Middle East itself. Also, in case there's, there are some people outside who do have stereotypes about people in the West or other parts of the world. And an event like the World Cup, I think the major event in sport, in the sporting industry, it allows for people from different cultures, people from different parts of the world to really unite, sit down, and celebrate the beauty and the passion of the sport, while at the same time provides an opportunity to understand the different cultures, understand our differences as human beings, our different belief systems, our different cultures and customs, but at the same time unite us in one simple element, that we're in the end part of one race, the human race.
Okay. Hassan, as you know, there have been allegations about how Qatar won the bid. As you know, Michael Garcia has been starting an investigation. He's the chief of investigation for FIFA.
Yes.
Are you concerned with this investigation? What are your thoughts about it?
Absolutely not. There is no concern because, again, we've always said it to the outside world, and we've always said it, we've implemented ourselves before we even indicated to the outside world, which is we've always complied with the rules and regulations of FIFA to the strictest of sense. To the extent that some of the rules allowed us to perform certain activities, and I know usually people who come up, for example, with the sponsorship of the CAF General Assembly, which we did. It was an opportunity that we saw. More importantly, it did not breach the rules in any way, and it was an opportunity that actually started our bid, because what it offered us was an opportunity to present to Africa, who were at the time the coming hosts of the 2010 World Cup, who understood what it meant for the world to stand up and say, you cannot host a major event, you cannot do it. It was the right crowd for us to deliver our messages to them. So accordingly, every step that we've taken, we have done, one, to ensure, and we have always worked very hard to ensure with our lawyers and otherwise that we comply with the FIFA rules and regulations. As far as it comes to the other allegations, it's been 3 years. Same allegations keep coming up again and again. Same allegations with no basis.
When I listen to you, I have the impression that people have different sense of what lobbying means, because apparently you have toughest rule against you versus others.
Well, I think the perspective on the rules and how they should apply to Qatar versus others, yes, I do think it's not necessarily along the same lines. Keep in mind, I mean, when we started off, we came, the bid team actually was set up of people not related to the football industry. We came from the outside in a very short period of time. We had to not only build credibility in our bid, we had to also build the relationships upon which such events are decided upon. Showcase what we are, showcase what Qatar is about, and more importantly, deliver the message that it's time for the Middle East to host the World Cup. We put in a lot of effort. We were in every major event from the very beginning. Any major event that you can imagine, we were there. To the extent, it was, I think, the CAF General Assembly in Egypt at a point in time, and some people, the Russian bid actually asked, they're like, who's here? And they said, everybody's here except for the Qatari bids. And the Russians turned around and said, no, the Qataris are going to be here. There's no way they're not here. We were there in South Africa. We stayed 30 days in there, understanding what a World Cup, what it takes to host a World Cup, and talking to the people and building that personal relationship and delivering our messages. When people say, how did you win the World Cup? The simplest answer, and I assure you and I promise you, it is not said in any way with any arrogance. We were the best bid. We were the best bid in terms of messages. We delivered, our messages, or the bid was based upon the following concepts. A compact World Cup. A World Cup where people, the average fan and the media, as well as the teams, don't have to worry about long distance travels. And I think everybody understands not only the novelty, but the advantages of a compact World Cup or a compact event. The second aspect in relation to the geographic location of Qatar. We were based in the middle of the world, middle of the globe effectively. Modes of transportation, international transportation was very easy. You just mentioned earlier, Francois, how easy it is to come from Paris to Doha now. How most or different parts of the world can access Doha very easily, whether through Qatar Airways or through Emirates or through United Airlines. But everybody can access the Middle East very, very easily. But in addition, our location also offered us a very unique advantage compared to nearly everybody else who was competing for 2022. We were located in the center of the globe. And what that meant was, in terms of broadcasting, 3 billion viewers can look at us, can watch the games during primetime viewing without the times themselves changing in Qatar. We can host the event during the late afternoon to early evenings, and the broadcasting times would be perfect for 3 billion viewers. But there's another element as well. When we talked about legacy, and people were saying you're a small country, white elephants. What are you going to do with that?
Yeah.
We actually hit two birds with one stone. And just this last element, and I promise I'll shut up for the time. The modular stadiums. We offered a concept of a modular stadiums whereby we would build stadiums on a permanent basis to fulfill our requirements. The modular element will be added to fulfill FIFA's requirements during the event. After the tournament, we will take down these modular seatings, reconfigure them into smaller stadiums, and offer them to other nations. And this way we hit two birds with one stone. We're not left with white elephants, and at the same time, nations that require the infrastructure to develop the game of football have that opportunity as well.
So we'll see the end of the inquiry, but hopefully you're confident this should come probably spring 2014, I guess, the end of this inquiry.
Well, I'm not entirely sure. We haven't been approached as of yet.
Okay. Okay. The big question is about summertime for playing football. FIFA President Sepp Blatter said his preference would be to play in November. He has been backed now by IOC President Thomas Bach. What are the chances for you it's going to still play in summer? What do you think about it?
Since the first time this matter was opened up to debate or discussion, we've always said we are ready, and our plans were based on a Summer World Cup. The cooling technology itself, which I hadn't mentioned earlier, was an element of, for us, it was a legacy. It was a legacy not just for Qatar.
Yep.
Today, the fact that people are discussing hot weather, even within Brazil right now, the people are talking about the heating and so on, and other major tournaments have also been held not in the most ideal of times. So the cooling technology for us is a legacy not just for Qatar, but as we've always said, far beyond our borders. But in the end, if FIFA and the football community decide and want to move the World Cup to winter, whether it's November or any other time, we are more than happy to accommodate that.
What is for you the last time you need to know? Because obviously you're going to build a lot of infrastructure. It's a big project for you, so this cannot change every year. So when for you is the deadline to know?
The great thing is, we don't need the deadline. We've actually set up our plans to host it for a Summer World Cup.
Okay.
In the event that it gets moved to winter, then we will be ready for it as well.
Okay. One of the reasons for success in the World Cup is to have a national team which is strong. Qatar is currently ranked 103 in FIFA standings.
Yes.
So that gives you 9 years to go up. What is the plan for that?
Well, I think one of the ways of seeing the plan is in the facility that we're in right now, in the infrastructure that we're in right now. I mean, I think Aspire Academy in itself and what it stands for, and more importantly, the opportunities that it offers and the high-level training it offers for Qatari locals, but also for other people from different parts of the world, in itself speaks of the investment that's being made for the grassroots development of Qatari football. But also, UFA is undertaking significant steps and significant initiatives to develop the grassroots talents within the state of Qatar. And I think, if you look at the Qatar Stars League, if you look at the level of football in terms of the league itself, it's gradually developing and evolving. And we're making presence, for example, in the AFC Champions League. We've even come third in the Club World Cup, I think about 2 years ago. Yep. So there is a development and evolution for the Qatari football. But of course, in a nation that has 250 to 300,000 inhabitants as its population, it is, of course, a challenge that we are very, very clear about. We are addressing eyes wide open, and we are confident of the level of football that we will be offering in 2022.
Probably looking for qualification for Russia, 2018 to get the
Well,
next round.
those plans, I'll have the QFA president answer them because I don't want to discuss his issues.
So it's 9 years to go before the World Cup. When are the next key milestones of your project?
Well, we've just issued and launched our first stadium a few weeks ago, Al-Wakra Stadium. We have announcements. Of course, today we were able to announce the launch of Jasur institution.
Yep.
In the months to come, in 2014, we'll be making announcements for about 4 to 5 other stadiums, as well as identifying the full milestones or the overall milestones for the 2022 infrastructure plans coming forward.
Okay. Obviously, when you deal with such a project, you want to create legacy. You have vision. So what is the legacy 2022 will leave to the world, to your country?
If it's left up to me, legacy will be related to everything, but I know I have to be realistic. No, I mean, look, there's different elements of legacy. The way we've actually planned our bid as well was to go line on line with the country's vision. Qatar has developed the Qatar National Vision 2030. It's based upon 4 different pillars: economic diversification, environmental sustainability, social development, and human development. And our goal is, in one way or the other, for the World Cup to offer or to catalyze and accelerate a lot of the initiatives or a lot of the different pillars or the initiatives under these different pillars, but not just for Qatar or Qatar, but for the Middle East, the entire Middle East as well. So one of the elements, the Jasur Institute, for example, that we've just launched today, the purpose of it is to start developing talent within the Middle East for the younger generation in terms of the sports industry, the business industry, the events management industry, venue operation. The idea is to develop as much talent for the younger generation going forward. Our intention and our goal ultimately, or initially, was to develop the pool of talent that we need for 2022 to host the World Cup, with the idea that it will be the entire Middle East welcoming the world on Qatari soil in 2022. But we also went a step further with the Jasur Institute. And the purpose was to contribute to a development, or at least start planting the seeds for developing an economy based on the sporting industry and event management industry. There's a lot of people in the Middle East that are passionate about sport. We have very, very talented people and very dedicated people as well. The sporting industry, right now, I think it's in an infancy stage and within the Middle East. It's not as developed as, for example, in Europe or the United States, where it's a significant contributor to the country's GDP or the economy's GDP. The hope is for the Jasur Institute to start providing the talent that we need to start developing an industry, a sustainable industry that remains after 2022 down the road. But we've also got just 2 more elements in legacy, and I'll shut up, I promise. Environmental legacy. We're looking, our cooling technology, we're looking to develop it in a manner that actually pushes forward the frontier in terms of, or addresses the solar technology or renewable technology elements that can feed into the cooling technology as well. We're looking also to diversify in terms of part of the legacy. It's the Middle East. I mean, I go and come back to the same old element, but as a person from the Middle East who's lived a lot of his life outside and experienced people from different cultures all over the world, I've really begun to appreciate. And Qatar in general, as a nation that's actually a very homogenous nation that's actually got a lot of people from different parts of the world living in it and grown up in it. And a lot of my friends are Qataris and non-Qataris here as well. I've come to appreciate people from different parts of the world and different cultures all over. And there's a richness in appreciating and being able to celebrate with an individual from a different part of the world and a different culture on a common issue, whether it's a game, whether it's a sport, whether it's an art, whether it's whatever it is. And I think one of the biggest legacies that we'd like for the World Cup to leave in the Middle East is for the outside world to really understand who we are and what we are.
So is the Jasur Institute a ramp up to a bid for Olympics in 2024, 2028?
I am the Supreme Committee for 2022.
Yeah, but you are well informed. You are well informed.
As a matter of fact, no, I'm not. I'm intentionally not well informed on that aspect. No, look, I mean, in terms of Jasur Institution, you never know. It could be a ramp up for Qatar to bid for 2024. It could be a ramp up for another Arab nation or a Middle Eastern nation also.
So you need to share with the countries around you?
Well, this is the whole purpose of the Jasur Institute. This is the whole purpose of the World Cup. The purpose of the whole World Cup, we've always said, is 2 things. If the legacy, or our measure of legacy for 2022 is in 2024, 2025, not in 2022.
Okay.
The final whistle ends, we still have 3 years of work to ensure that we cement the benefits that, and the gains that we have today. And the second element is, the countries in the Middle East have to benefit out of this as well.
So is it thinkable to get a joint bid from Gulf areas for the Olympics sometimes?
You're asking about the Olympics, and I'm not an Olympics man. I have a lot of respect for them, and there's a great hero of mine as well sitting in the front row, but I'm not an Olympics man, so I don't know about that. I'll leave it for the IOCs and the NOCs of the countries.
Okay. Thank you very much, Hassan.
Thank you. I guess that was it.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.